toilet backs up, if the air conditioning needs to be fixed, if your tenant leaves and you have to go clean it up and put a new tenant in it, it's all covered under that $38. The only thing it doesn't cover is replacing the roof or replacing your HVAC. But fixing all that stuff, it's all covered. So that's good. And they guarantee, and it's in their contract, that any time after 24 months, if you want to get out of it, they'll buy it back for the same price that you bought it for. So if you buy one for $50,000 today, 4 years from now, you go, you know what, I want to sell it and do something else, buy a property somewhere else in the country, then they will buy it back from you for that $50,000. So it's a nice, simple deal. So we've done a ton of these. Let's see here. Yeah, I pretty much covered all the points there. But yeah, we've done, I think we've done probably 200 of these now. And it's a good cash flow play. Like I said, there's not going to be appreciation, but if you want to do something that just gives you great cash flow, this is fantastic. And the price point is such that we have a lot of people do these in IRAs. You know, because where else do you get 11.5% cash flow? And you don't have to manage it. It's all managed for you. And the insurance is all included, the whole bit. Now, obviously, one other thing that's kind of good. So if you look here, the tenant actually writes 2 checks. One check he's writing to the company that owns the lots, right? There's a company called Trinity that owns the park. So they're writing a check for, most parks are $325 a month, and then the other $675 goes to the management company that's your money, if you own it, right? And so they're writing these 2 checks. If the building is empty for, say, 2 months for some reason, you don't have to pay the lot. So you're never going to have negative cash flow on these. And again, that's the biggest fear down the road. If you have an asset that has negative cash flow, it drains you. So these you have to do all cash. You can't get a loan on them. So all the ones we've done, like I said, it's literally all cash. And if for some reason it's empty, there's no negative cash flow because of the lot rent.
So this person that bought 10 didn't get a break on the sale price?
No. Because they're a pretty good deal already, actually. Yeah, we're going for volume. Yeah, so they're good. Let me just show you now some, here's the picture I was thinking of. See here, you see all these straps here going on the ground? Those are what I was thinking, and then those metal straps go over the building. Yeah, you can see it real clear right here. You see the pylon, these go deep in the ground, and he's got the metal strap. So they're solid, real solid.
What they look like, they're single wide or are they double wide?
Most of the ones we do are single wide.
Single?
Some are double, depends. Yeah. Double ones, truthfully, it doesn't make a big difference right now. I mean, literally, when there's a vacancy, they get filled really quick.
You mentioned they have a 30-year lease. What happens after 30 years, or can you renegotiate?
Yeah, it has an option to renew it for another 15. What happened is, there's another thing to explain. We do a lot of these as part of 1031 exchanges. And so, in this world, if you were to get a unit like this that you don't own the land in California, it doesn't qualify as real estate. So you cannot do a 1031 exchange into just a manufactured home in California.
Oh, yeah.
You can't. If you own the land with it, you could. But if you don't own the land, you can't. In Texas, it's different. When you register the unit in Texas, it says right on the form, is this real estate or is this personal property? And you have a choice. So when we're doing 1031, we have to have it qualified for real estate, and it has to be a 30-year minimum lease. So that's why that thing identifies. Yeah. And I'll just show you some examples of some triple net lease stuff. Let me skip ahead a little bit. Okay, just to give you a comparison. We had a client who insisted on buying, they're actually Chinese, insisted on buying here in California. They did not want to go out of state. So we just put this property under contract. It's an In-N-Out Burger, so they own the land, the building. It's on the 10 up towards Yucaipa. It's right in the exit. It's a great property. It's an awesome asset. Nothing bad I can imagine will happen to this property. I mean, it's just one of those properties that you literally see the In-N-Out Burger off the 10, and you pull off right there and do a circle, and you're right in there. So this is full all the time. But this was a 4% cap rate. And that's about as good as it's going to get in California, as far as cap rates go. So just to give you a good example. And it was also very expensive. This is another triple net lease we just put under contract, 6%, Pizza Hut. This one had a brand-new 10-year lease. Here's another one, we're supposed to close this in another week or so too. It's Schlotsky's is it's a restaurant deal, franchise deal, but they're good quality. It's right in Colorado Springs. This was like 1.15 million, 6.25 cap rate. Just give you examples of other stuff. So let me just show you a couple more things. Okay, so to give you an example of what we do with a lot of clients. We have a lot of clients that will buy, you know, Indiana home and they'll just buy it for themselves and then they'll build a portfolio, or they'll buy the manufactured homes, or we'll find other properties for them as well. But a lot of what we do is these 1031 exchanges, and here's a guy we were working with. He had a 20-unit building in Koreatown, and I know this is kind of busy, so I know you can't read it, but I'm going to show you what happened here. So we figured on that building, he was $2.8 million that he sold it for, right? And his net was $50,000. Okay, so after all his expenses on his $2.8 million asset, which is a great asset in Koreatown, it's kind of old, but it's a good area, he was getting $50,000 a year that he could go and spend, okay? We put him into another building. In fact, we'll go back a couple slides. So this apartment building we bought for him in Houston, we were really lucky. We got this at an 8% cap rate. We've been trying to buy one since then, and we can't even find any at this cap rate. It happened to come on the market, and one of my guys in the office saw it. We put an offer in it like the next day, and we lucked out. And it also needed a lot of work. They're doing it now, but it needs $300,000 to $400,000 of work on it. So when you see a higher cap rate like this, you know it's going to need some work. Similar property right now is probably more like a 6 cap in Houston. So anyway, we kind of lucked out. We bought him that, and that was $1.5 million. And then the rest of the money we put into the manufactured homes. And so, and that's what you're seeing here. And we do this all the time. If you have a scenario where there's a property you're selling, we can get the numbers from you, put them in their spreadsheets, and then show you the before and after and build you a portfolio, the kind of stuff we're talking about. And so, when we're all said and done, he went from $50,000 of net income to $135,000 of net income. Okay? And so that's kind of a blended portfolio, like I said, between the apartment building and a bunch of the manufactured homes. So great cash flow, that's a great portfolio. And if we have a recession, okay, so maybe he has to lower some of his rents. It's not going to be that bad. The other one we did earlier this year, these guys we worked with, they had a restaurant and they sold the building they're in Alhambra. And we ended up putting him into that Pizza Hut I showed you, and another portfolio of the manufactured homes. And, oh yeah, that's right. They got almost $2.3 million for the property they were selling. And again, I'll skip ahead here. So they were netting about $60,000 a year on the property they sold. When we finished with them in this portfolio, they're getting $152,000 a year of net income. And their strategy was, look, there was a couple guys, they owned a bunch of restaurants. They happened to own this building. They got an offer on it that they were surprised they got. They said, look, we're going to sell it. We want to park our money somewhere that we can feel comfortable that if we want to sell those assets, we can come back and buy something in LA later. And we don't know if we're going to do that, but we want to do something that would make sense. So this worked out great for them. Also, just to make a comment on the triple net lease, when we're doing these triple net lease deals, we like to do them with 15 to 20-year leases. And I'll tell you why. A triple net lease property like this is really easy to sell when there's 10 years left in the lease. When it gets less than 10 years, it gets tougher to sell because it's harder to get a loan and the lease, term is shorter. So if you had something with 20 years ahead of you, and 5 years from now you decide to sell it, I'm real confident you're going to get your money back out of that deal, right? And it's going to be easy to sell with 15 years left in the lease. Or if you did one with a 15-year lease and you wanted to sell it in 5 years, and there's 10 years left in the lease for the new buyer, that's very easy to sell. And that's why we did this, and why we like these kind of leases. So again, probably not a lot of upside in this portfolio, but great cash flow, and it's going to be easy to get him back out of it 3, 4, 5 years from now when he wants to do something different. And that was really our strategy. So I give you lots of examples. I think I got one more here just to show you. Oh yeah, this was a guy who came to us. He was an older gentleman. He owned this penthouse that he was renting out downtown LA. We sold it for him. We got $1 million, a little over $1 million. he was getting around a 3.5% cap rate on when he sold. He was netting about $42,000 a year on that rental, and we put him in a portfolio. We did a combination. We did some Indianapolis properties, the small ones, and we did a bunch of the manufactured homes, and he's getting $115,000 a year of income off of that. And he was older. He said, "Look, I just want the maximum income I can get out of this." And you know, he'd sold it when we sold that penthouse. It was all cash, no debt on it, and so that was his strategy, and this worked out good. So, just to give you a comparison, here's a property we sold actually last year in Pasadena, just to give you an idea. So this was a 6-unit building, really dated, and then the rents were below market, but this property needed a lot of work. We sold it at a 2.2% cap rate. Right in Pasadena. So that's the kind of stuff you're looking for in LA, but it's gonna be 2 to 3% cap rate. And then the people we sold this to, they actually got everybody out, they actually paid them to leave. They went through and they put probably $400,000 into it, fixed it all up, raised the rents, and they're gonna do actually pretty good in that property in the end. It's well worth over $2 million now. But to do a property like this, you gotta have a bunch of money, and you gotta be able to go through, 8 months or something without any rent, because you're going in, renovating it, and upgrading it all. But anyway, that probably worked out really good for him, but I really wanted to show an example of, if you're buying a multifamily right now in LA, it's gonna be in the 2 to 3% if it's in a good market. And that's just the way it is. All right, well, I think we pretty much covered everything. Like I said, we also have people invest through IRAs, so that's just on that. But anyway, everybody has a different situation, and everybody, has a different goal or whatever. Again, to stress, if you are buying any kind of property, really try to define what it is your goal is, and try to fit the property to what your goal is. I mean, fix and flips, you can do those, but you just gotta be careful in this market, and don't get too far over your head, because if things slow down, you wanna make sure your rent covers all your expenses and stuff, and you can hang in there for a while. I've been through that before too. Yeah, Dan?
Do you have much experience with storage units in Texas?
Oh, funny you asked that. No, we literally just put an offer on, actually, me and a friend, we're trying to buy some land in Austin, and we're looking at doing storage units. Storage units are good. Right now, okay, so we talked earlier about cap rates, right? We talked about how everybody's out there. So right now, when you're going to buy a multifamily property, just about in any major market, there's a lot of buyers, and it's pushing the prices up. Same thing with storage units. It's really hard to find storage units now that are above a 5% cap rate. Very expensive. Yeah, and so it makes a little more sense in that kind of situation. If you can buy some land and develop it and turn it into storage units, that would be good. If you find something that's a higher cap rate than that, it's probably podunk area, you know what I mean? Not a good area, and it's not that full.
Do you see an advantage to taking those storage units and filling those roofs up with solar?
Oh, well, not for storage units, because you don't need much power for storage units.
Exactly, you have to sell it back somewhere.
I actually, believe it or not, I actually own personally a whole solar project in Hawaii on the roof of a building in Honolulu. So I own all the solar panels on the roof, and I sell the power to the tenant. Now, the numbers on that worked out fantastic, because in Hawaii, their power is way more expensive than ours. And I took advantage of the tax credits, and also the state of Hawaii gave a grant on top of that. So it turned out really good. But truthfully, Hawaii is really tough, because the local utility company was a nightmare. They're doing everything they can to keep people from getting solar. Yeah.
What kind of cap rates are you seeing in Nevada or Arizona?
I mean, I'm not as familiar with those markets. It's hard to be familiar with
Okay.
everything. You're probably seeing 5–6% cap rates in that range from what I'm hearing. Yeah. But again, those are markets where you used to get 8 or 9%. And a market like Vegas and Arizona, boy, they really swung. Both those markets, when the market went down, they went way down. I mean, Las Vegas went down 50–60%. But they really overbuilt at that time, back in the 2007 or 8. So I'm trying to stay in markets where it's more of a stable situation, where we didn't have those. Look, everybody's excited about Vegas, because you're hearing, people come out and say, look, I bought this property 5 years ago, and it's almost doubled. Vegas really went up a lot. But that same market, went down a lot when we had the, we had the recession. You know?
So if any of our students that might be interested in doing some wholesaling, is there a possibility that they came across properties in areas that they're interested in or something?
Yeah, and we have investors that would probably be interested if it was a good, it made sense. I mean, I have a lot of people that want to buy rental property in LA, so it's not like nobody wants to buy them there. Everybody wants to buy them there, which is why their prices are so high. I'm just trying to get them used to the idea that there's more than California in this country. But anyway, if someone comes across a wholesale type deal, yeah, we probably have people interested.
I guess I find it just as easy living here, finding in Texas, rather than living here, wholesale.
So again,
If they're living here,
Yeah.
they can still find properties in Texas, if that's the area that you're
oh,
more.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you can do that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize you had guys that were doing stuff out of state on a wholesale basis, but yeah. Yeah, just sell the contract. Yeah, no, there's a good, it's like anything, if it's a good deal, we'll find someone that wanna buy it. Yeah, I mean, we have a great database of a lot of investors that wanna buy stuff. So, it's usually, if a good deal comes up, it's usually not a problem turning around.
How do we get to see your properties that you have on your website?
Yeah, well, it changes a lot. One thing I brought these things to fill out, they're at the back. And if you wanna fill one of these in, you'll be in our database. And then, once in a while, we'll do an email blast for some property that comes up.
Oh, okay.
And if you're interested in something, then if you call in, we can, show you what we have available. As you can imagine, it changes all the time. Like the Indianapolis properties, almost every week or two, we have to update the list and stuff, because, we're selling a lot of them, actually. Well, we've sold over 150 of the homes in Indianapolis now, and we said over 200 of those houses in manufactured homes in Houston. So we go through a lot of inventory. So there's a lot of scenarios, but if you guys are interested, yeah, fill this out. And then also, if you wanted the PowerPoint, yeah, actually, I got them on the table at the back there. You can fill it out. And then, like I said, if you want to get our PowerPoint, put a note in there, and one of the guys in the office will email it to you. And then again, if you want to follow up on any of this stuff, give us, put a note in there, and we'll follow up. And I know I'm all the way down in LA, but I come up here periodically. My stepson, from here, I'm going up to San Ynez, because my stepson has a ranch up there. I'm going to go up there and see my granddaughter and hang out over the weekend. So I've come up through this area once in a while. So we always have a meeting like on free time.
You're just a phone call away.
Just a phone call or email away. So, all right, guys, well, thank you very much. Hopefully, this worked out good for you.
Really appreciate it, great job. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Yep.
And,
Thanks.
so yeah, wholesale, anybody here, because most people in all these place meetings or clubs would like to be able to do some wholesaling, and Rusty's a person that would be very interested if you found some properties working with us in Texas or wherever else that you're interested in.
Yeah.
We could do something, okay?
Yeah, makes sense.
And that's something you can do without any money out of your pocket. You just need to find something that he's interested in.
Yeah.
So we will be here in February, at the end of February. This is our last meeting until next year. And by that time, I will try to arrange some solar people to come in here and try and solve some of these California problems with the power and everything else, and give you guys some direction of what you can do and where we're going.
Yep.
Okay? So thank you very much. Okay.
Great, thanks.